Darkness ruled the city, a suffocating blanket hiding unspeakable secrets. 5 figures shrouded in this darkness controlled it all. Brutal, unforgiving, my empire was built on fear, drugs, extortion, murder. My hands are stained with every sin. Then came Viper, a woman in a man's world. Cunning, ruthless, she rose through betrayal. Her empire, information. Secrets were her currency, and silence, her weapon. Young, ambitious, driven by a reckless hunger. I craved power, respect, and I'd burn the city to get it. High-stakes heists were my specialty, each one a spectacle. The professor was a stark contrast, an enigma. His empire was built on technology, on manipulating the digital world. He was the ghost in the machine, untouchable, unseen. Finally, there was Cobra, the eldest of them all. He'd seen empires rise and fall, knew the price of power. His was a world of shadows, of ancient rituals and forbidden knowledge. He controlled the city's underbelly, the flow of its vices. The balance of power was a fragile thing, maintained through fear, respect, and a shared understanding. Rolex, blinded by his arrogance, shattered this peace. He wanted more power, more territory. His greed pushed him to betray an ancient pact, to encroach upon Cobra's territory. This act was a declaration of war, a challenge to the old order. The other lords of the underworld watched, waiting, knowing this was just the beginning. Marco, sensing opportunity, sided with Rolex. The chance to bring down the legendary Cobra was too tempting to resist. The Jackal was eager to prove himself. Viper, ever the pragmatist, saw an opportunity in the chaos. She offered her allegiance to Cobra. Her network of informants and spies would be invaluable in the coming conflict. Cobra, wary but recognizing the need for allies, accepted. He knew he couldn't face Rolex and Marco alone. The professor, a recluse by nature, remained neutral. His allegiance was to himself, his technology. The city held its breath. 2 sides were drawn. A storm was brewing. The days that followed were a blur of frantic activity. Alliances were forged in smoky backrooms. Deals were struck and broken. The stench of fear and betrayal hung heavy in the air. Confident in my strength, I gathered my forces. My men, loyal and ruthless, were ready to paint the city red. Cobra, ancient and wise, knew this war wouldn't be won with brute force alone. He needed to be cunning, to anticipate his enemy's moves. Viper's intelligence network became his weapon. The stage was set. The storm was about to break. The tension in the city was palpable. The streets, usually bustling with life, were eerily deserted. Everyone knew what was coming. The air crackled with anticipation. The first strike came as a surprise. Marco, always impulsive, led a daring raid on one of Cobra's key operations. The attack was swift, brutal, and devastatingly effective. The city erupted. The uneasy peace was shattered. The war had begun. What followed was a night of chaos and bloodshed. Gun battles raged across the city. Buildings burned. The streets ran red with the blood of the fallen. Rolex and Cobra, the 2 titans of the underworld, finally clashed. Their duel was legendary, a brutal ballet of violence and power. Marco, fueled by ambition and adrenaline, led his men against Cobra's forces. He fought like a man possessed, desperate to prove himself. The tide of the battle turned when Viper, using her network of informants, anticipated Marco's moves. She led a contingent of Cobra's men to ambush the Jackal, shattering his forces. Marco, defeated and betrayed, was forced to flee. His dreams of power lay in ruins. The fight continued. But without Marco, Rolex's forces crumbled. He fought like a cornered animal, but it was not enough. He was finally brought down, his reign of terror over. The morning dawned over a city scarred by battle. The streets were littered with debris, the air thick with the smell of smoke and death. The old order was gone. Cobra, though victorious, was severely weakened. The war had taken its toll. He knew he couldn't hold on to his empire forever. The city was ripe for the taking. Viper, always the opportunist, saw her chance. She had positioned herself well, gaining Cobra's trust while subtly manipulating events to her advantage. In the aftermath, new alliances were formed. Viper, with her cunning and her network of spies, consolidated her power. She offered Cobra protection, effectively becoming the power behind the throne. The Professor, who had remained neutral throughout the conflict, emerged from the shadows. With his technology and his understanding of the digital world, he became a force to be reckoned with. The city had new rulers. The old order had fallen, replaced by a new generation of criminals, each vying for control of the underworld. The cycle of violence and betrayal was far from over.